Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Talk Show. I'm Carla Elizondo. Inside Talk Show, it's an inside job. Inside job. We're living from the inside out, not the outside in. We're continuing the reading of The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. We're on chapter 9, How to Use the Will. We were getting into, on Friday, the higher faculties, the will being one of them. To set about getting rich in a scientific way, you do not try to apply your willpower to anything outside yourself. Hello. You have no right to do so anyway. It is wrong to apply your will to other men and women in order to get them to do what you wish to be done. It is as flagrantly wrong to coerce people by mental power as it is to coerce them by physical power. If compelling people by physical force to do things for you reduces them to slavery, compelling them by mental means accomplishes exactly the same thing. The only difference is the method. If taking things from people by physical force is robbery, then taking things by mental force is also robbery. In principle, there is no difference. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. You have no right to use your willpower upon another person, even for his own good, because you do not know what is for his own good. This is a very, very big lesson, and it's a hard one. And we need compassion for ourselves and for others. When you see something going wrong with society or personally in your own household or in your intimate relationships, if there is someone, and this is an adult 18 and above because children do not have that conscious awareness yet, or the wisdom or the experience, or anybody who's mentally incapacitated in any way. So I'm talking about 18 and up adults, fully functioning, having all of their, mental faculties firing. When we're an adult, we are responsible for our emotions. Does that mean that it's not hard to control them? No, that's not what it means. But we are responsible. We have got to apply this not just to ourselves, but to others, because it's easier to point out the flaws or the troubles or the habits of others that we need to change. Or we might be in the position to help change. And we see this a lot with addiction, people who have habits that are destroying their lives. We want to help them. And I am reading such a good book. It's across the room right now, so I can't show it to you, but it's by Khalil Rafati. And it's called Remembering to Live, Lessons Learned from Crawling My Way Out of Hell, something like that, the subtitle. And he has a first book called I Forgot to Die. I Forgot to Die. And I'm just finishing up the book. It is so powerful. And it talks about this. And it doesn't have to be a serious drug or alcohol addiction. It can be a food, a sex, a worry and anxious addiction, whatever it is. When we see people suffering, we cannot, by physical force or mental force, change them. We are encroaching on their free will. And it happens a lot with parents, when their children are suffering. They end up enabling them. And one of the stories that he talks about in his book is that it wasn't until he stopped being enabled that he was able to change his life. And it's very counterintuitive, and it's really hard to do, to look at someone you love and stop giving them something that you feel they need, even if it's a roof over their head. And it's harsh. It's just such a fine line. Anyways, that just came to me. But we have no right to use our willpower upon another person, even for their own good. We can't change them. Only they can change themselves. The science of getting rich does not require you to apply power or force to any other person in any way whatsoever. There is not the slightest necessity for doing so. Indeed, any attempt to use your willpower upon others will only tend to defeat your purpose. And it does blow up in our face. You do not need to apply your will to things for them to come to you. That would simply be trying to coerce God and would be foolish and useless as well as irrelevant. You do not have to compel God to give you good things any more than you have to use your willpower to make the sun rise. You do not have to use your willpower to conquer an unfriendly deity or to make stubborn and rebellious forces do your bidding. The thinking substance is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. Let me just read that again. Soak that in. The thinking substance is friendly. So the universe is friendly. God is friendly to us. God is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want more than you want it. To get rich, you need only to use your willpower upon yourself. When you know what to think and to do, you must use your will to compel yourself to think and do the right things. That is the legitimate use of the will in getting what you want. To use it in holding yourself to the right course. Use your will to keep yourself thinking and acting in the certain way. Do not try to protect your will or your thoughts or your mind out. Don't try to project. Do not try to project your will or your thoughts or your mind out into space to act on things or other people. Keep your mind at home. It can accomplish more there than elsewhere. Use your mind to form a mental image of what you want and to hold that vision with faith and purpose. Use your will to keep your mind working the right way. Close your eyes, close your ears. The answer is nowhere but inside of you. Nobody can give it to you. Can people help? Sure. But you're only going to get the answer from yourself. The more steady and continuous your faith and purpose, the more rapidly you will get rich because you will make only positive impressions upon formless substance. You will not neutralize or offset them by negative impressions. The formless substance receives a picture of your desires and allows the picture to penetrate to great distances, perhaps throughout the entire universe. As this impression spreads, all things are set moving forward into its realization. Every living thing, every innate thing, and the thing you yet uncreated are stirred toward bringing into being that which you want. So whatever we hold on the screen of our mind, as this impression spreads, all things are set moving toward its realization, good or bad. Every living thing, every innate thing, and the thing yet uncreated are stirred toward bringing into the external, toward bringing it into being that which you want. All force begins to be exerted in that direction. All things being to move toward you. All things begin to move toward you. The mind of people everywhere, the mind of people everywhere is influenced toward doing the things necessary to fulfill your desire. And it works for you unconsciously. But you can check all this by starting a negative impression in the formless substance. Doubt or disbelief is as certain to start a movement away from you as faith and purpose are to start one toward you. By not understanding this, most people fail when they try to make use of mental science to get rich. Every hour and moment you spend in giving heed to doubts and fears, every hour you spend in worry, every hour in which your soul is possessed by disbelief, sets a current away from you through the whole domain of the intelligent substance. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. All the promises are unto them that believe, and unto them only. Notice how insistent Jesus was upon this point of belief. Now you know the reason why. Since belief is all important, It behooves you to guard your thoughts, and as your beliefs will be shaped to a very great extent by the things you observe and think about, it is important that you focus your attention. We have to pay attention. Here, the will comes into use because by means of your will, you determine the objects of your attention. Yeah, we determine what we're going to give our attention to. We determine what we're going to focus on. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Right? Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. And we see that a lot. We have a lot of challenges and a lot of areas of opportunity, individually and as a whole. And we want things to be better. We want things to heal. We want things to be fixed. We want new solutions. We want better ways. But what are we focusing on? We're focusing on the problem, which rightly so, right? We're humans, right? It's hard to not look at what's going on. We can, like I said before, recognize it. Of course, it's there. Then what are we going to focus our mental attention on? What are we then going to focus on? The solution. Because it says right here. Where was I? Okay, so if you want to get rich, you must make a study. You can't make a study of poverty. If we want peace, we can't make a study of war. If we want peace, we must not make a study of war. If we want richness, we must not make a study of poverty. If we want equality, we must not make a study of inequality. If we want justice, we can't make a study of injustice. And by make a study means focusing our attention. Am I saying to totally turn a blind eye to the injustices in the world? No. But I'm saying focusing our attention and our energy on them does not help. Does not help. If you want to become rich, you must not make a study of poverty. Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. What do we want? What do we want individually and collectively? And then let's look at where we're focusing all of our attention. Look at the news. Look at the news. What is it focusing on? And what are the results? Things are not brought into being by thinking about their opposites. Health is never to be attained by studying disease and thinking about disease. Righteousness is not to be promoted by studying sin and thinking about sin. And no one ever got rich by studying poverty and thinking about poverty. Medicine as a science of disease has increased disease. Religion as a science of sin, religion as a science of sin has promoted sin. And economics as a study of poverty will find the world with wretchedness and want. Do not talk about poverty. Do not investigate it or concern yourself with it. Never mind what its causes are. You have nothing to do with them. And what concerns you is the cure. What concerns you is the cure. What concerns you is the cure. What you focus your attention on is the cure. Do not spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. All charity only tends to perpetuate the wretchedness and aims to eradicate. That is loaded. He wrote this over 100 years ago. Do not spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. All charity only tends to perpetuate the wretchedness it aims to eradicate. And I understand what he's saying. And yeah, I do not say that to, okay, so I do not say that you should be hard-hearted or unkind and refuse to hear the cry of need. But you must not try to eradicate poverty in any of the conventional ways. Okay. Right. The way that it's working now, when we talk about wow, let's look at the staggering rise in homelessness, not just in California, not just in Los Angeles, but other places, Texas, um, New York, all over the world. The rate of poverty and homelessness. What we're doing now clearly isn't working. It's not working. We need to find another way. And remember, solutions. We can only do that when we're creative and in our imagination, not looking at the dumpster fire that is the rise of homelessness and poverty, but focusing on abundance and how we can help in a way that works. So he's saying, don't spend your time in charitable work or charity movements. It only tends to perpetuate the poverty. And I'm not saying that you should be hard-hearted or unkind and refuse to hear the cry of the need, but you must not try to eradicate poverty in any of the conventional ways. Let's get unconventional here. But put poverty behind you. Put all that pertains to it behind you and make good. You cannot hold the mental image which is necessary to make you rich if you fill your mind with pictures of poverty. Do not read books or papers which give accounts of the wretchedness and the poverty of the tenement dwellers, or of the horrors of child labor. Do not read anything which fills your mind with gloomy images of want and suffering. You cannot help the poor in the least by knowing about these things. The widespread knowledge of the circumstances of the poor does not tend at all to go away with poverty. What tends to do away with poverty is not the getting of pictures of poverty into your mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the mind of the poor. Right? So, this is really big. What tends to do away with poverty is not the rich understanding poverty, but it's the poor understanding wealth. Say just monetarily, the rich are here, the poor are here. We have to bring the poor up to the rich. Right now, what we're doing is we're bringing the rich down to the poor. Mindset, meaning the abundant wealthy mindset and the poverty poor mindset. We will never, what does it say? We're never going to get rid of poverty by putting poverty pictures, by letting the rich come and look at all the poverty pictures. We're only going to get rid of poverty by putting rich pictures in the mind of the poor. You are not, okay, what tends to do away with poverty is not the getting of pictures of poverty into your mind or the rich mind, but getting pictures of wealth into the mind of the poor. That's good. You are not deserting the poor in their misery when you refuse to allow your mind to be filled with pictures of that misery. Poverty can be done away with, not by increasing the number of well-to-do people who think about poverty, but by increasing the number of poor people who succeed in getting rich through the exercise of faith and purpose. Holy moly, this is hitting me in a different way. I've read this so many times, but poverty can be done away with, not by increasing the number of rich people who think about poverty, but by increasing the number of poor people to think about wealth, abundance, and richness, and exercise faith and purpose in that image over the image of poverty. The poor do not need charity. The poor don't need charity. They need inspiration. If you've ever been low on cash or low on in your soul, do you need charity or do you need inspiration? Do you need a goose egg or do you need the golden goose? The poor do not need charity. They need inspiration. Charity only sends them a loaf of bread to keep them alive in their poorness, or gives them an entertainment to take them away for an hour or two. But inspiration will cause them to rise out of their misery. If you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can be rich. Prove it by getting rich yourself. Because what tends to happen, what he's talking about, it just perpetuates the poverty. Say you were fortunate or you became fortunate and you now understand you're a golden goose and you can produce golden eggs. Now you're just able to get on keeping on. You never have to worry about food, shelter, water. And you have a level of faith and belief. And you can produce goose eggs. Similar to you've learned how to fish. You can take care of yourself. This is a better analogy. You have learned how to fish. You can feed yourself, your family. You never have to worry. You know how to fish. But somebody who is starving, doesn't know how to provide for themselves, does not know how to fish. Clearly, they don't know how to fish. If they did, they'd be eating. So what the fishermen do is go to all these people, hungry people, who don't know how to fish, and they just feed them their fish. They feed them their fish. Well, what happens when the fishermen go away? The people are like, okay, well, we need more fish. No, you don't need more fish. You need to learn how to fish. So what would behoove all of us, and remember, metaphorically speaking, this can be on monetary, physical level, any level of that poverty mentality. If you've overcome anything, go into a place and show the person in themselves that they can do it too. Not that you've accomplished it and you're just going to help them. I'll give you some of my fish. No, let's teach them how to fish. So these fishermen need to go and teach these people how to fish. Then they never need them again. Then they know how to fish. Then they can teach other people how to fish. I love this analogy. Okay, so let's go over that again. The poor do not need charity. They need inspiration. Charity only sends them a loaf of bread to keep them alive in their wretchedness, or gives them an entertainment to make them forget for an hour or two. But inspiration will cause them to rise out of misery. If you want to help the poor, demonstrate to them that they can become rich. Prove it by getting rich yourself. Get rich. This is the best way that you can help the poor. The only way in which poverty will ever be banished from the world is by getting a large and constantly increasing number of people to practice the teachings of this book. People must be taught to become rich by creation, not by competition. Every person who becomes rich by competition kicks down the ladder by which he or she rises and keeps others down. But the person who gets rich by creation opens a way for thousands to follow and inspires them to do so. You are not showing hardness of heart or an unfeeling disposition when you refuse to pity poverty, or to think or talk about it, or to listen to those who do talk about it. Use your willpower to keep your mind off the subject of poverty, and to keep your mind fixed with faith and purpose on the vision of what you want. I know this can kind of sit a little wonky, but is what we're doing right now working? Is what you're doing right now working? Can there be another way? What Wallace Wattles is saying. And the guy talked about that too in the book. Oh, it was a podcast on YouTube. I'll try to look it up. But, we all see those people when we're on the off ramps asking for money. And if you feel inspired to give, absolutely, absolutely. But if you don't and you're judgmental, don't do it out of obligation. Because we can give that loaf of bread, but not just giving the loaf of bread, giving them a book, giving them, and remember, if they don't want to change, they don't want to change. There's nothing we can do. If they don't want to change and we keep helping, that's enabling, period. But if someone truly wants to change and they're open to it, by all means, help. Yeah. And I've seen both sides. I used to work at the LA Mission, Los Angeles Mission, downtown on Skid Row, baby. And every Tuesday morning, I would pack care packs, which they would fill out if they wanted, like toothpaste, toothbrush, you know, feminine products, hygiene, all this stuff. And it was a mixed bag of the attitudes and energy and levels of wanting to change. And it takes stamina to be around that. It's heavy. It is heavy. And the woman that I worked with, ooh, she was a woman of the law, if you know what I mean, or the law, right? And before we started, she's like, "Do you know the Lord?" And I was like, "Yeah." Anyways, even if I didn't, I would say yes. She's like, "Let's pray." And like she prayed us in before we started our shift. And I was like, she's serious. But I got it. Once we went in and we started working, I was like, oh, mother of pearl. There is no way you can get through that without dosing up with grace and with God and with a power that's greater than us, because it is the human condition at its most broken, regardless of what it is, whether it be addiction, serious mental illness, whatever brought these people to this situation. But they had to want to change, and be willing, because there's nothing we can do, nothing, unless they want to change. And we can continue to help them, but helping them in a different way, not just giving food and water, but giving them the real food, the mental diet. It's such a big topic, but I love how he says that we are not going to obliterate poverty by filling our minds with poverty to help the poor. We will only get rid of poverty by filling the minds of the poor with wealth and abundance images and bringing them up instead of us going down. We've got to bring them up. And that's like in a relationship. If you are in a relationship with somebody and you gain some awareness or something, and your partner's still down here and is like, why are you da da da? Okay, I'll come back down here with you. No, because you'll be resentful. You have to say, hey, this is where I'm at. You want to come up with me? And then they'll meet you up here. You can't lower your standards for anything. Never. Or you're resentful. It just doesn't work. Anyways, that was a very broad topic, but I love how Wallace D. Wattles talks about eradicating poverty. Anyways, pardon me. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend. Happy November. We have 2 more months left in the year. We have 2 more months left in 2021. Where are you going to be January 1st? Where are you going to be January 1st, 2022? Where are you going to be spring of 2022? Where are you going to be next summer? Where are you going to be next fall? What do you want to accomplish? We have 2 more months left in the year. If you have been getting the same results, or things aren't changing, or you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, schedule a call with me. I would love to chat with you. I run a 6-month program. It's so powerful. It will literally change your thinking, and that will change your entire life. So if you're interested in joining our 6-month program, click the link in my bio, schedule a free consultation call. I would love to meet you, or just answer any questions you have. Even if you're interested and you just want to hear about it, please schedule the call. And I look forward to meeting you. Have a wonderful day.